Hello guys and welcome to my channel. My name is BuFFED and today we are going to talk about mineral powder foundation. So in order to do that we are using this one here from La Roche-Posay, and that is a corrective compact powder mineral foundation. And we are using this in order to show how to actually apply such a product, because there might be some of you who have tried similar products and your skin comes up being very dry, and particularly maybe around here or there, and maybe not so much if you have an oily skin. But if you have dry skin, this is a product that will kind of like emphasize the dry flakes and stuff like that. But there are some tricks you need to know in order to use a product like this in a way that it comes up on the skin as with a really nice smooth finish. So if we just look at this one here, this is the color beige. So I would say that as a beige color it is a little bit way too dark for my skin. So I bought it in order to give a bit of a summer kind of like a suntanned look. So if we just look at the color, it kind of like looks like this. But when it is on my skin, it looks very much darker, I would say. So they have given you the option to use something like this, and you can see I have already used it. It looks like this, just sort of a thing here. If you choose to use something like this, you get a lot on your face in one go, and most likely it will not look nice. So what should you do instead? Well, preparation is a really good start, because if you have a dry skin, then it will not go on nicely. That's just how it is. So what you need to do, as when you are in general are using a foundation, is to make sure that your skin is moist. So what did I do today? Well, today I used mineral oil on my skin, and I used something called the cream of tartar, and I have spoken about that before. So what I did was I exfoliated my skin in a gentle way, in a way that would leave a little bit of oiliness in my skin. What else can you do? Well, you can use a cream like this, which is often used when people are adding a foundation. So this is for makeup artists, something that they often use on a client's skin in order to make sure that the foundation goes on really nice. If a product like this is too heavy for your skin, there is the other option here from BareMinerals, and that is the that creme fluid. So that is not as oily, and that is the one I normally use, and that is the one I have on my skin at the moment. So because I have used the mineral oil as a scrub on my face, then my skin already is a little bit more slippery than it would normally be, and normally I would just use something of a scrub like that in the evening. So I know when I touch my skin now, there is a bit of greasiness on my skin, and that is just what I want, because you need to have this sort of a slip on your skin, because when you are using something like this, and this is the one that's called BarePro from BareMinerals. So it looks like this, and they promised to, and it is true that this one in here, the center part here is a bit more tough, and the outer part here is a little bit more soft. So what they say with this one here is that it will give a really nice kind of like a airbrushed finish, and I would say I'm pleasantly surprised how it works, because if you're using something that is too hard on the skin, then the powder might just it will not go on nicely. So this one here I would say gives a nice sort of airbrushed look. So when you use a powder like this, it just simply kind of like goes everywhere. So I would say when you have something that is a loose powder, it is easier to dip something like this in it. Instead of here, you will just get it kind of like everywhere. So it is so that a little goes a long way. So you just dab some of the worst off. Now we have a color that is very much different than my skin tone. So you can really see where we are putting it on. So if you are using it in order to, I would say, give a bit more of a color to your skin, like I was thinking I would do, then I would start, instead of getting a lot of this stuff where you don't want a lot of it, I would start where I would like to have a bit more of a brown sun sort of glow. So I would put it on here to start. So we just take a little bit here, and it doesn't maybe come up as showing a lot, but it kind of like already gives a kind of like a orangey ochre sort of burnt soil look. So you just kind of like gradually do like this, and if you just take this now, and then you will see it kind of like maybe comes up a little bit more matte, but you will have to continue for quite a while, because this is about polishing the product up to a nice sort of a finish. And if we just kind of like use the one on the other side here, the one comes with the product, then you will see that if you do like that, you put something on like that, and you do like this, yeah, you get a lot on, and it might not show that much on the camera, but I can tell you that if I put this one on, I would not go out in daylight looking like this. Maybe in the evening where it would not be that noticeable, but you get a lot of stuff on your face, and it's really difficult to make it look nice. So we just add a little bit more, and you can see now definitely that the color changes. So this is way too dark a color for my face. So basically what you do is that you will continue to just work it into the skin, and it will take quite a while, and the stuff that is on the brush will go onto your skin. So instead of just adding more and more and more, use up what is on the brush in the first instance. So one thing you obviously need to do it when I use a darker color than my skin, I need to make sure that I get it on my ears as well and down the neck. So like that. But this is not something that you just put on in a hurry, because it will take quite some time for you to work it into your skin. Now, what I find is that I don't have a particularly oily skin, but where my skin is moving, so where I have sort of mimicky wrinkles, then it kind of like it will start to very quickly go into those lines. So that is mainly on my forehead up here. So now that we have been buffing for a little while, you will see that the shine on this side here is much more kind of like nice and polished, and it kind of like looks matte, but it doesn't look like it's dry. So when you look on the other side, where I have not put anything on apart from the area here where we just tried the color, you will see that this kind of like gives a really nice sort of a buffed feeling. And there is of course just a little thing, and that is when you are buffing around up here, and if you get it into your eyebrows, you take a spoolie like this one here, and then you just kind of like take the worst away. But as I said before, then for me, then up here it starts to kind of like collect up here. So what can you do about that? Well, if you are trying to stop something from creasing on your eyelids, well then what you do there, you can actually just do exactly the same on your forehead. It will kind of like work in the same way, but it will not completely stop anything from migrating, but it will kind of like make it last much longer. And I would say if I do what I will show you now, then it for me looks like I'm satisfied with that look, where if I don't do it, I'm not satisfied with that look. And I know if I am seeing someone else, they won't be standing up very close, so it will not be a sort of problem. I feel that when I do it like that, then I am confident that other people, they will not notice it. So what do I do? Well, I take a concealer, for example, like this one here. This is one from NARS, but you can just take any concealer that works for you, and then you just simply take it. I'm sure on this side here, you take where you have the issues, like that, and I will do it on the eyelid as well, because when I use a powder like this, if I don't kind of like use it on my eyelids would just look completely a different color. So if I'm not putting any sort of eye makeup on, if I just want this sort of a natural look, I need to put a little bit on my eyelids as well. Just add a little bit on the outside here as well. So this is basically just how I would prime my eyelids to make it not slip and slide when you put the eye makeup on. So like that, and a little bit on the side here, where you might have a tendency to be a little bit blue, red in the corners. You do like this. And then up here, you just simply do exactly the same. And of course, the more careful you are, the more you can kind of like blend it in. But you kind of like would like it to stay where the wrinkles are, because that is where the problem is. So kind of like that. And I would say that if you are kind of like doing as I am doing, you would like to have a little bit of a sun-kissed glow, then you need to go in with something a little bit lighter, because when you put the color from the makeup on, then you would like it to be that color that is dominating. You don't want it to be something kind of like darker underneath. So like this, and then I will take a setting powder, and that is the one from Laura Mercier. So that's the one I normally use. I'm sure there are others that are just as good, and you just dab it on like this. And now this is kind of like a little bit different to what I said before, that you would like to have a little bit of some slip when you are using a mineral foundation. But the thing is, where you had these problems here, like on your eyelids and up here, then you do actually have a little bit more of an oily area. So you need something to cope with that. But you would not do like this all over your face, because then it will look completely dry. So we just take a little bit more and dab the worst off, and then you just simply go in and do the same thing. The one thing to say is that when you have just done like this, then you need to go a little bit more slow or easy-handed, because if you do it too rough, kind of like just dab it in, then it kind of like stick to what you just put on. So you need to be a little bit more careful when you do like this. So this is kind of like the trick I use if I use any sort of, usually personally I just use a bit of a shimmer on my eyelids, but that will kind of like go into that line there as well. So I need to add a little bit of this sort of concealer to make it last. So that is basically simply just the same trick. So what else can you do if you find that still this is a little bit too matte or too dry or too kind of like without life? Then you can take something like a setting spray, and that will kind of like give a more of a living skin look, where I would say this is a little bit I would say too matte for my taste. You could obviously put a bit of a shimmer or stuff like that on, but then you are into, I would say, more of a makeup-y look. So something like this would give a bit of a kind of like a well-nourished look back into your cheeks. So I just use this one here. Like that. And it smells like, I think it's cucumber, something like that. It smells nice. So yeah, this is obviously, maybe I was a little bit close. You need to kind of like hold it a bit far away, but you know how much you would normally use. It takes a little while for this to sink in. But when this has sunk in, then you will have more of a dewy sort of look. And when you're doing it like this, you take a little bit more powder out of your eyebrows, because there's a little bit of some sort of a watery thing that you kind of like can take a little bit more away with. So yes, like that. So now that this is kind of like sinking in, you get a more of a dewy feel. At the moment it looks really wet, but I can completely feel that it's kind of like starts to dry up. So will we be trying out other powder mineral foundations. Yes, we will try some of those from BareMinerals. They have, as I said, this one here, so we will try it out and see how it works for their own products, where today we just used it for this one here with from La Roche-Posay. So yes, I hope that this little tutorial was useful for you, so you kind of like have a better idea about how to go about and using a mineral foundation like this one here. So yes, if you like to see more of this sort of videos, please subscribe to the bell and do all the things you must do in order to be notified when I upload more of this sort of videos. Thank you for watching. See you. Bye.